Hex Talks, a show that explores the world of horror through interviews with filmmakers, actors, writers, and some truly unique individuals. I am your host, Laurie Brewster, and I am a horror filmmaker myself, with 7 feature films under my belt. Together, we're going to learn more about the world of independent film and the incredible influence that horror has had over the lives of some truly fascinating individuals. Today I am joined by the delightful Megan Tremethick, a wonderful actress from Cornwall. She's 22 years old. She's been in a variety of short films, including, I shall read them from my list, Nightmare, The Screaming Forest, as well as a short film she has directed and starred in, which is an award-winning short film called E. Megan has also appeared in feature films such as The Lockdown Haunting, co-starring Tony Todd from Candyman. Not to forget 2 Hex Studios feature films in which Megan is also set to appear, including Dragon Knight and Ghost Crew. So Megan, hello!
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, and I'm very excited to chat to you today about the theme and topic of our video, which is how to survive playing a lead character in a feature film. And I guess it kind of includes the idea of what it's like as well to play a lead in a feature film. Mm-hmm. So hopefully this should inspire and educate millions, billions of aspiring actors around the world.
Yeah, hopefully we can aim for that.
So let's begin by getting to know you a little bit better. Tell us a little bit about how you became an actress, how you got the bug, as they call it.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I was about 9 or 10 years old, I got the bug because I entered a school talent show dressed as a cat from Cats the Musical and did a very weird little song and dance to one of their songs. And I didn't win, but it fueled me with this kind of creativity and this need to express myself. So I just started doing amateur dramatics from there, and yeah, just kind of progressed from there, really.
So the fetishistic aspect of dressing up as a cat was the inspiration,
if you like. No, not quite. It was all the singing and the dancing and the acting, but whatever you want to believe.
Of course, whenever I dressed up as Catwoman, that didn't help my acting career at the start. You know, that led to a whole other career, a disturbing path.
Yeah, only encouraged your fetishes.
So you're 22 years old. You're at the start of your career. The idea of like dressing up as a cat and other characters, as we know from your cosplay fame as well. We can't forget that.
You went there.
Is this also one of the reasons that your work is predominantly based within the and not exclusively, but predominantly fantasy and horror and genre based? I mean, I know you love drama as well, but is that why? Or?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I do. I love dressing up, and I love to kind of do like very creative makeup as well to make myself look completely different a lot of the time. I think, the cosplay love came from that as well. I think that is a good reason. I also would consider myself, I obviously love playing leading roles, but I love very transformative leading roles where I can kind of undergo like a transformation. So I would like to be much of a character actor and transform myself a lot in my roles. And I feel like with fantasy and with horror, it's a really nice way to do that usually.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Would it be safe to say then that you have a secret nerd identity as well?
Oh, it's no secret. I am a massive nerd. Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Of course, I wouldn't know how that feels, being something of a high school jock type character.
Oh,
really.
Of course. I think think most filmmakers are pretty nerdy, to be fair. Like a lot of filmmaker friends I know play video games, or just, I think we're all very nerdy about film because we love it, you know? I think people get very obsessive in the film industry of other films.
Sure, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's have a look at our wonderful list of questions then, because I have prepared a fabulous list of powerful questions that are going to explore your mind and blow your mind. It's going to be fantastic. Let's look a little bit at your early work then with some of these short films. And we talked about some of them. We had some of the recent ones like The Screaming Forest or Nightmare, and even your own short film, E. But there are others. Tell us a little bit about your experience with those. What did they help you learn, and how did they help advance your interest in acting and your career?
Well, with Nightmare, that was a really fun shoot because we did it all in one day, and it's just like a 1 minute short. And yeah, that was really fun also because there was no dialogue. It was all very body language and emotion and expressions. It was kind of nice not to feel, I guess, held back by dialogue in a sense, because it just wasn't necessary to tell the story. So that was a really fun experience.
And so The Screaming Forest, what about that? What the hell is that? Is that where your character has to survive against an army of angry, screaming trees?
No, not quite. I play the sister of a girl who mysteriously vanishes, and then I basically contact the protagonist and ask him to help me out and find my sister because I have no idea where she's gone. And so this protagonist goes on an adventure through this forest, which is legendary to be this screaming forest with spirits potentially trapped in there. And so he goes on this quest.
But your character has to survive against the screaming trees. They come at you with branch-like arms, and they're always screaming, right?
Oh, please let that be the sequel.
It would be fantastic, right?
Yeah,
So
I think we need to pitch that.
So The Screaming Forest is still in post, though, right? It's not finished.
No, The Screaming Forest has come out. It's on YouTube. You can check it out. Maybe I'll give you the link if you want to
Sure.
link it. That'd be great.
You also have E, which was a fun short film you put together for our Hex Online Film Festival, and you won an award for Best Actress. Is that
yes,
right?
I did. Thank you very much.
No, well, thank you for your entry as well. And it was really cool because it showed that you're interested in making films as well as acting. And so when you were doing the short films, were you constantly feeling that they were beneath you, that you should really be playing the lead in a feature film? Were you disgusted by your crew and cast on every short film, like a stab in the heart? Or
no, of course not. I love short films, and it's good because some stories I don't feel like should be features. You know, they just need to be kind of kept simple and just told in a shorter form, for sure. No, I love short films, but I definitely want to branch out into doing some more features. Saying that, I think I loved just having a longer shoot, to be fair. Like you sort of build like stronger connections with your cast and crew, you build a stronger connection with your character, and it's just so much fun to kind of not have to say goodbye to a role in like a day or a week. You can play them for like 20 days straight, and that's amazing.
Yeah, especially with the amount of reshoots and rescheduled days for my feature films, then it's like a 2-year experience. You can really grow as a person on one of my films. Yeah,
you never know when you're coming back, but it's always great to come back. So I'm always secretly like, yes, I get to go back and Jigme again.
Oh,
yeah.
And the film Megan refers to there is Dragon Knight, which has been playing Jigme, and which we'll be getting to. So with the short films then, how would you describe the ambition you might have felt, though, to be in feature films? Because a lot of actors, right, their ambition is to work full-time in feature films. Short films are often seen as a stepping stone, which is quite right, really. There's nothing wrong with that, although some still do them for fun on the side. But short films on themselves are not commercial product often.
Yeah.
So when you were doing the short films, how hungry were you to get into feature films? Or was it just something that was quite relaxed in your mind?
No, I would say I was pretty hungry to get involved with feature films, really. And in a way, it was because I wanted to build up my portfolio so that I could prove to people that I could, you know, carry either a leading role or a supporting role in a feature. And I think every time I would get involved in smaller roles in features, I was always like, yes, it's one step closer to being a lead in a feature. So yeah, that ambition definitely was there. And I'm just so grateful to have achieved that. And it was so exciting, and yeah.
I think one of the really cool things that you've done is that you've put the work in, because you've started out in short films, really modest, kind of like web shorts, to then fancier short films, to then the bit parts and feature films, and to where you are now. And I think that kind of dedication and enthusiasm is a very important quality that is lost on a lot of aspiring actors at the start, because of course we all want what we want right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, you're an ambitious actress, as all good actors should be when they're young. You know, they should be ambitious and pursue. There's nothing wrong with ambition, especially when you're prepared to put the work in and have this kind of open-minded attitude towards opportunities that are presented to you. So, Megan, hi.
Hi.
Can you tell me about your academic background in acting? Did you study anywhere, or is this something that you decided you were too good for?
Wow. No, I haven't gone to drama school. I did do a BTEC in performing arts, and that was the equivalent of like 3 A-levels. So it was quite a full-time course, and that was for my college. And yeah, we got to do a lot of acting, straight acting, but we also got to do musical theatre and dance. So I do feel like I had a pretty full-on 2 years of studying, which was really nice, and my teachers were really good. Before that, I did GCSE as well. But no, I did audition for drama schools, but I just found it was such an oversaturated market at that time of trying to get into drama school that it was just very difficult to get in. And I tried for a few years in a row. But at that time, I was just making sure to be proactive. And, you know, if an opportunity arose, like so I could learn practically on the job, then I would make sure to prioritize that as well. And yeah, that's just how I've learned so far, really. I didn't get into drama school, so I just kept learning and learning as much as I could and just kept challenging myself. And yeah, I've gone from there.
So when you were applying for drama schools, how old were you then?
When I first applied, I was about 18 or 19. And then I took a year out and I went to Japan for a little while, a couple of months. And then when I came back, I reapplied. So I must have been about 20. Yeah.
Right, so you applied twice then.
Yeah.
And you know, when you're 18 and 20, you can take things, everyone takes things very deeply, emotionally. You know, rejection is a hard thing when you're that young.
Very
you know,
true.
because, you know, was that experience disheartening in terms of your desire to pursue acting?
No, I wouldn't say that. I'm quite glad that I had those rejections in a sense, because it taught me that drama school, although it is very important and a very valid way to get into the industry, it's not the only way, and you can keep learning yourself, just, you know, like by reading books, by going to smaller workshops. There are so many ways, and learning practically, which I personally have found the most beneficial, is to just get a role in a project and just put my all into it and learn as much as I can. I found that really useful, because you are kind of told when you're younger that there's only one real way to get into the industry. In school, they say you have to go to drama school or do drama at a university, and that's just not true. There are lots of ways to get into the industry.
Well, in that way, you actually sound like a champion then for the alternative paths.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. That's the awesome thing about the creative industry is that it's never a skill set that is determined by the piece of paper you have.
Uh-huh.
You know, unlike medicine, apparently.
Yeah,
but never mind.
That is a bit different.
That career is one I had to end prematurely, you know.
Yeah. You would have been a great doctor, I'm sure.
Well, I was for 8 months, but never mind. I tell you. Well, look, I'm glad that the experiences of those rejections didn't discourage you too deeply, because you have a fantastic gift. And as actors, even those who do study formally under those programs, you know, we're always learning. And the best teacher of all is life experience. How many times did the drama schools tell you to come back when you had more life experience, you know?
Very true.
And just look at all the life experience I had.
Yeah.
I could be a fantastic actor, but I'm shit. It's not fair.
No.
I know. Never mind. We'll get to our next question. So Megan, now we must come to the powerful story about how you became a lead actor in a feature film. So this feature film that we're talking about is Dragon Knight, which is Hex Studios' first foray into the sword and sorcery fantasy genre. Now, we actually met a few years before, well, maybe about 2 or 3 years before you would be cast in a feature film.
Yeah.
And it's interesting for folks watching as well, aspiring actors, because the way we met and the time it took between that and for you to get cast is not extraordinary. It's actually quite common that the connections you make sometimes manifest with results a year or two later. But tell us how we met.
Yeah, I first kind of knew of you when I saw the Black Gloves Kickstarter, and then I actually backed that project because I thought it was amazing. Like, it was right up my street. It's the most like creative horror from an indie filmmaker I'd ever seen, and I loved it. And then I went to Cannes and I saw you and I was like, wait, is that Laurie? No way. So you have quite a distinctive look, so I was pretty certain it was you. And so I just came up and said hi, basically, and I'm so glad I did, because then you introduced me to Sarah and the rest of your crew, and it was such a nice day.
Yeah, it was a delight. And one of the things that set you apart as well when you introduced yourself, because now Cannes International Film Festival is a glamorous film festival. It's great, folks, and if you have a chance to go, I recommend it. And
me too.
Absolutely. And Megan is the proof as well of the kind of opportunities that can result, because none of our working together now would have occurred had it not been for that introduction. I will add as well that the support for the Kickstarter campaign, that was something I wasn't cognizant of until after we'd met along the way, when I think it was my colleague Michael Brewster that pointed out that Megan had backed a previous campaign. And that endeared you considerably, because it showed that you were prepared to put skin in the game, as it were, as an expression, for that relationship. Not to suggest you only supported it for mercenary reasons, but these are things, though, that producers especially hold in high regard. That, and I think it was actually, I think it might have been almost a year and a half afterwards. I think it might have actually even been as late as the time that you had submitted for the online film festival, which is relatively recent, like last year maybe.
Yeah.
I was like, she dead? You know? But anyway, Cannes Film Festival is glamorous. Everyone's, dressed up. You go to lots of like cocktail parties in the evening. There's people that look all glamorous and pretty. There's lots of there's flirting. There's normal business meetings, but it tends to be parapolitics. There is a dynamic to it. It's like a game. It's not that you have to play the game, but it's like a game. And you weren't anything like that. When you first introduced yourself to me, I think I was largely hungover that day. it was in the British Pavilion tent, which is in the International Village, which is a whole complex of tents set up by countries around the world to promote their nation to film in. And they give you free goodies like coffee and tea, so that's always good. I remember you came up to me and you were almost shy, but you weren't shy because you'd taken the bold step to say hello and introduce yourself. But I remember at the time thinking, what a charming, lovely, natural girl who who made this very kind of endearing kind of introduction.
Thanks.
You know, not like the monster you are now, but back then it was. And the take home here, folks, is when you are introducing yourself as an actor, that is not the best time to act or be performative. You know, just be yourself. And if you are a kind of insane performative narcissist, then okay, be yourself. You know, that's fine too. But we're all a little bit like that in the creative industries. How did it feel to be asked to audition? Did I ask you to audition, or did you just answer an audition call? I can't quite know.
No, you asked me to audition. Yeah.
That's right. And this was there were hundreds of applicants for this. There were so many videos to go through for actresses from around the world. And there were some exceptionally talented folks, and there were folks with years of experience, and there were folks as well that had gone to prestigious academic drama schools as well. And of course, Megan, you would triumph.
What? I know. I'm still pinching myself, to be honest. No, it felt pretty awesome when, you did ask me to audition, and I was quite surprised because we had spoken before then, but we hadn't spoken loads. So I was kind of like, oh, this is nice. Where does this come from, in a sense? And I was aware that lots of people were auditioning for the part of Jigme. So it was definitely intimidating, but you gave me a lot of notes on the character, like a lot of kind of backstory, kind of what you were after, in a sense, in terms of like voice qualities, in terms of characterization, and it really helped. You even sort of showed me a little mock-up of what the costume may look like. So even just, I knew kind of what she would embody. So that really...
So we're publicly announcing the unfair advantages I gave you during the audition process.
Shall I stop?
No, that's okay. That's good. Just look what Megan achieved through the nice impression that she made. You know, joking aside on that though, not that I'm denying this, there are ways to make...
Oops.
Yeah, it probably did help, right? But you know, why would I do that though? I mean, there was also, it wasn't just the impression you had made the first time, there was also the online submission you made to the film festival as well. I could see the effort you had made then, which kind of reminded me more about you as well. When we put out the audition, everyone champions different people, you know, and there was a few folks that I was kind of championing, and you know, you were the one I was championing the most, but
thank you.
It was within a crowded and competitive you know, arena, and among my colleagues as well, though there were different folks that they thought, well, what about this person or this? But you know, there's a lot of debate, because you have to have a vigorous debate when you have hundreds of people auditioning.
Definitely.
And you know, one of the big challenges that you faced with your audition was the fact that other folks had done feature films before.
Yeah.
And you know, you would see them and you would be like, right, okay, they've done competently, they've done really well over the course of a whole feature film. And then it was like, but you know, you want to cast Meg, who's been in these short films. Yeah. And there's there's only so much evidence, you know, where is this faith in this person coming from? Was one of the kind of questions. But your audition video was also, I thought, excellent as well.
Thank you.
And that helped to kind of put a lot of those concerns to bed as well. The take home from this, right, this is going to be terrifying for actors listening to it. The take home is that the audition never ends. The audition happens months and sometimes even years before you send a self-tape. The audition is literally a review of the personality, the soul of that person, because artistic collaboration, when even on genre films, is based on fundamentally whether that person is an interesting artist, and it's a tough one. But you had done those, yeah, you had earned your place. But still, if you'd done a shit video, it would have been impossible. So tell us a little bit about the video then, and how you prepared.
Well, at that point, I hadn't seen the script. So again, I didn't know all of the backstory. So I kind of just tried to think of some imaginative suggestions of what she might have gone through for her to be in this position. I also did a little bit of research on, am I allowed to say assassins?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, I did some research on assassins and kind of what kind of people they are emotionally, and I kind of realized a lot of them tend to repress a lot of emotions. So I just felt like I wanted her to have emotions kind of seeping out, but them to be constantly being kept back, and she's trying to hide them. I also wanted her to have a kind of a very vicious side to her that occasionally comes out, so she kind of has this ability to snap. And again, I did a lot of different takes, which I sent to you. I think I did 8 different takes of the first scene and then maybe 3 of the second scene. So I just went a little crazy. I just experimented with lots of different things. Obviously, they had to be appropriate to the character. If it was way off, I wouldn't have sent it. But I just thought, well, maybe let's interpret the scene like this. Oh, let's try more flirtatious. Let's try, I just went in loads of different ways, and then chose my strongest interpretations, I felt, and then sent them.
Yes, I thought that was fantastic, and a vital thing that you did, which was to produce all those variations. It was actually surprisingly common to sometimes only get one version, and it would be like, nailed it, here you are. And you would be like, what, is this it? Like this one version? And sometimes they would be quite eccentric, and the one version you got, and you would wonder, what could it have been like? Sometimes we would say to folks, like, maybe you could do a couple more versions, and they would do it. There were some folks that did that we thought had potential, so we would ask to do more. But oftentimes it tells you a lot, though, when someone just assumes that their one interpretation is the only thing worth sending out.
Yeah, no, that's a good point there. I think a lot of people have been told in the past to only do one interpretation because people will be like, oh, they'll feel bored, They'll feel like, oh, they haven't got time to see all of those interpretations. But I agree with you. I think it's very good to show some contrasting versions, to show your range. And even if you don't get that part, you've then shown to that filmmaker that you have a really strong range. So it's like, it's amazing, yeah.
Yes, whoever gives advice to suggest only sending one version of an audition self-tape is wrong, categorically wrong. And so never accept that advice from whoever gives it, for anyone listening out there. If someone likes your audition, then they will appreciate the effort that has gone into producing variations, and they will take extra comfort and get a sense of security from that range. It will help to consolidate whatever advantage you started to press from the first good audition. And sometimes, also, if the first one doesn't work so well, but they think you're still quite good, the second or third variation might nail what the producer or casting director is looking for, and that's it. So yes, you must always, I would say, produce at least 3 variations, and to make sure that the variations do have some difference as well. So when you were finally cast as Jigme, how did that feel?
I was so, in the best way possible, overwhelmed. I think, like, when you called me up to say I had the part, I was just like, yes! Like, I gave the most explosive response ever. Yeah, just knowing that so many people had applied for the role and I had gotten the part, it was amazing, because obviously in the past, and this is completely normal, I've been one of those 100 people that have applied for something and not gotten the part. So I think all of those experiences made me so grateful to have gotten this part, because I know how it feels to be one of the other people that didn't get the part. So I'm just so grateful, yeah.
Oh, I mean, you did earn it of your own merit. It is nice to be able to give someone that feeling with the casting. It's one of the parts I enjoy most about my job. But of course, the other part of my job was letting like 400 plus people know that they hadn't got the part, mostly by email. But there were some people that had to say in person because they had gone to extraordinary effort and they had been close contenders.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have the opposite reaction, which is sometimes tears and things like that. And it's like,
yeah, never fun.
And you know how that feels. You know, everyone knows how it feels in the creative industries. I do feel that it was especially rewarding for me, though, as well, to be able to let someone like yourself understand their worth and their talent in the context of our film, in the context of having experienced rejection from the drama schools as well, because it showed that to be the star in a feature film is not something that you need that piece of paper for. You know, you had put the work in other ways to become the actress that you are today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So you've got the role of Jigme, right? And it's all very good. And I hope you ate lots of sweeties on the day that you won that casting. But
I sure did. And a glass of Prosecco.
Yay. But suddenly you had the challenge, right, for preparing for this character, not just for one scene, like in your audition, but for a whole film. Was there much different that you did, or did you feel like you'd done so much mental homework for the audition that you were good to go?
No, I think I did a lot more prep after that for the role. I spoke to Sarah, firstly, to get some backstory, well, once I'd read the script, just to kind of learn, her life before she comes into that, to this story. And that really helped a lot. And I did, again, more work learning about assassins and about people that have been indoctrinated into cults, just because it was along a similar line with the story. I made a character profile for Jigme, just like on my phone, on an app, and I just wrote down like even how old I thought she was, her star sign, just funny little things about her, anything I could think of, some things from the script, some things just from my mind, using my imagination. And that really helped. Also, I actioned all of my lines. I used actioning. And then I tried to have a lot of options, again, like my audition. So I would come up with some completely contrasting actions of perhaps how I could interpret the scene, and made some very different choices, just so when I got to set and one of them wasn't working, I could try and go down like a different route. And then there was the physical side, which also took a lot of prep. Actually, before I got the role, I started working out just in case. So I started running and just kind of putting on like a workout video and just working out in my apartment. And then as soon as I got the role, I started doing weekly archery classes, which was awesome, because Jigme uses a horse bow, and horse archery just has a specific way of doing it. So I just went to an instructor, and he was amazing and gave me loads of tips on the best way in about a month of prep that I could look like a decent horse archer. So that was awesome. And I also took boxing classes because I couldn't find any stage combat courses at the time. So I just wanted to do as much physical activity with boxing as I could, just to get stamina for the fight scenes. And I also did some knife throwing, which I'm very bad at, but really enjoy and I want to get better at.
Well, that's fantastic. So that's a real range of preparation then, from the profile of your character and expanding expanding their story as well, so that you can understand them better. Some of that almost sounds a little bit like the kind of technique Stella Adler
Yeah.
was stressed, and then all this physical training as well. As a fan of fantasy and having cosplayed as the Mario Brothers and
What?
did the aspect of fantasy roleplay as well, was that kind of like a fun aspect? I mean, don't get me wrong, all this proper stuff is first and foremost, but
Yeah.
but
Oh no. Yeah, no, my inner nerd was very, very excited about it. Oh yeah, and I played a lot of video games that were fantasy based, just to get character inspiration. Like there's this game called Hellblade, which is about this kind of badass Viking warrior chick, and she has mental illness. And that was just such a fun game, and she kind of reminds me of Jigme in a sense. So I played a lot of video games, watched some movies with kind of similar characters to just get into the vibe of it all. And yeah.
no, that's fantastic. And I did really want to try and cast folks that did have an affection for the genre that we were working in as well. I'm something, I must confess, a fantasy nerd as well. I know, you're thinking it would just be football, but no, there are. So that's awesome. Now, you asked for permission to speak about assassins.
Yeah.
Why is that? And also, tell us more about your research into assassins and cults. These are two aspects of Jigme's character. Jigme is an assassin, and she is part of a kind of formidable, fanatical kind of cult of an evil god, Abaddon, which is the antagonist in Dragon Knight. So tell us about that. Were you on the dark web?
No, I was not on the dark web. I just did a bit of research about kind of how cults would manipulate people into joining, really. Again, I didn't probe too deeply into it. It was just more along the emotional sides of it. And again, I read some books. One of them was claiming to be a true story, but it could well be a piece of fiction about a hitman and kind of his life. And that was really interesting. And a lot of it, he had to keep so much a secret to his family. But again, Jigme has been separated from her family, so that doesn't quite apply. But it's just so interesting. You would probably keep a lot of your emotions secret, even to yourself, and you would lie to yourself in a way of coping with it all.
Yes, absolutely. And it's excellent that you have done all that research, especially because Jigme has an emotional arc when she tries to leave that cult, to try and become an individual again. And I feel you managed to achieve that with your performance. I thought you did really well with that. So I look forward to audiences being able to enjoy that. But it wouldn't have happened without that kind of research on your part. So well done.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, I can't wait for everyone to see it as well. And fingers crossed, yeah.
Okay, so there you are on the set of Dragon Knight. And before you is this formidable presence, this awe-inspiring artist known as Laurie Brewster.
Yeah. Yes, I know of him.
It would be easy to get intimidated working with such a alternative sex symbol and cinematic genius,
Naturally.
But apart from that, you're on set. It must have been in total about 7 weeks?
Yeah, I think I did about 6 weeks. Yeah,
right.
But again, it's a long time. Yeah, no.
So you have a chance to meet the crew, the cast, and every film is like a family. When you're with them as well. You're working so intimately and intensively as well. Yeah. So from those experiences, I have 3 important questions we have to look at from my list. What was the funnest part? What was the hardest part? And what was the scariest? Let's start with the fun. What day did you have the most fun?
I don't know about specific days, but I think in general, the fight scenes were so much fun. I think also they were partially the scariest part as well, because again, I've trained in dance in the past, but I haven't done it for a really long time. And obviously with fight choreography, you've got to remember it. And like, there was limited time to learn it. And so in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, I hope I remember it all, but I really enjoyed it. And I've never done proper fight choreography before this film, and it was such a joy to do. I had so much fun with it, and I think all of the fight scenes were probably my favorite days. I loved it.
Oh, I thought you did a fantastic job with the fight scenes. And so this would consist of our choreographer coming out, and we were having to work very fast. So things would be choreographed, rehearsed, and then shot on the same day.
Yeah.
But you took to it so quickly. You were doing your forward rolls and somersaults and, you know, all the crazy stuff. You know, you were definitely a true ninja lady.
Yay, that's what I aspire to be in life, so thank you.
So what about the hardest moments in the shoot?
Hardest. I would say the hardest moments would be thinking of the continuity, but not in terms of like what prop, you know, do I have my bow on my back or am I holding it? It's more like the emotional continuity. It's more thinking like, well, what has just happened in the scene beforehand? How has she been feeling? How much time has passed since the last cut? Yeah, just making sure that my character kind of has an arc and the emotion kind of builds, because I wouldn't want to have so much emotion all the time that the audience would just kind of tune out because it's too much. I want, you know, the important, meaningful, more dramatic moments to really mean something because of the downtime, in a sense, of other more subtle moments. Yeah.
And for lower budget movies where there isn't as much resources available for continuity, then it's so important that those obligations are shared, and the actors can do the film a great service by pausing to think about their own emotional continuity from scene to scene. So I'm very glad that you did, especially because your character has the biggest emotional journey in many respects, you know, with the arc that they're trying to achieve. So no, it's good that you did that. From when I was a producer on higher budget movies, like there would be whole dedicated teams for continuity, for props continuity, set continuity, actor continuity, costume continuity. But like, you know, just a team, you know, and so these things are important. And of course, you can't have a team of people doing that on a lower budget film. And even lower budget films under $1 million will struggle to have whole teams for continuity. It would be one person, and under that, it's like, you know, it's up to the team. So no, it's good. It's a very good note as well for other actors to bear in mind, is that all the important work you contribute to your performance is so much more than just that moment in front of the camera. It's everything you do before and during the shoot to help the production. So thanks for that.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And what about the scariest moment? Was there any, I guess you could think hard is a bit similar, but was there a bit when you were like, oh, this is daunting, I don't know how I'm going to handle this day, or I'm really scared if I screw this one up, or?
Scary. I don't know, like, I guess, like, sometimes you can't always quite know how the tone of a scene will turn out. And so I guess the bits that maybe intimidated me a little at first were like when I would interpret a scene differently, and then everyone would kind of be like, oh, let's kind of do it a little more like this. But I think that was also really exciting because, like, I'm excited to see how those scenes will turn out, you know, because that wasn't as much what I planned. So it's kind of exciting, I would say.
Yeah, sure. That can sometimes throw you off your game a little bit. Sometimes direction you get isn't always to achieve what the director says they want. Sometimes the director will say these things because they want to shake up the actor a little bit, so they produce options in the edit that they haven't prepared for, in case. the take is useful, or even sometimes just part of the take, like a different unexpected delivery of the last words, you know, since they've all been cut, the scenes, you know, in with the other actors.
Yeah, no, you totally like got me out of my head by doing that, which was really nice, because you would say like, now for this take, do something completely different. And I feel like a lot of the times I would particularly feel good about that take. So it really helps to just get out of your head sometimes, for sure.
So there you are, week after week, working away on this film, and it's a completely different experience to anything like doing a short. I think you handled it in your stride, but you know, every film has a high point and a low point. It's a very emotional experience and an exhausting experience making a film. Can you tell us a little bit, especially for folks that haven't done a feature film before, the expected or even unexpected highs and lows, your highest point and your lowest point?
I still feel like one of my highest points was the first day, just because it was so exciting. You know, like it was first getting into costume and getting my makeup on, and I had a really cool like first shot. I was just kind of crouched on the ground. There was smoke like billowing around me, and I really like felt in character. And I think that was so exciting. I would say that's definitely a really strong high point. I think I just enjoyed all of it, to be honest. I would say all of it was a high point. A low point, I don't know, maybe, again, coming to like one of the struggles is I would put a lot of stress on what I would deem as a really important scene for my character. So say like the Ackerman Pass, like the monologue that I do, I would be like, right.
Always the monologue.
Yeah, it's always the monologue.
Always the monologue, yep.
So I'd be there sort of mentally like, okay, we're doing this today, you've got to do this. And I guess it's always when you put a little too much pressure on yourself and you beat yourself up internally, that's kind of, I guess, a low point. But I think I'm really happy with how I did at the end of the day. So, you know, that's the best I can do.
Well, I mean, you're an actor. You'll never feel that happy about what you did. But I am happy with what you did.
Yay, thanks. That's good. That's amazing.
You were fantastic. And the thing is, this is what happens when and I sympathise. I know myself because I studied to be an actor and originally did shows and things like that a little bit before I retired for the sake of humanity. But exactly like yourself, you know, there is always a part, and it's almost always a monologue, and it's like this is the bit where I feel like you're going to shine, and it's going to, and you can't fuck this up. This is the beautiful bit.
Yeah.
You know, and it goes around in your head, you know, and in film, unfortunately, what normally happens is monologues are the easiest bits to technically film because it's you going blah 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 blah, and normally in a medium close-up, right, or something like that. So they'll get shunted in the schedule with everything else, and it's not to say they're squeezed in, and they shouldn't really be, but you know, what can you do? It would be great if every scene had too much time to film it, right? They'd be amazing. But anyway, monologues are squeezed in. So, you know, when we get to your monologue, you know, the crew, they've probably already been outdoors for a few hours in the winter. They're covered in, I don't know, mud, cigarette smoke, and their own tears.
Yeah.
And they traipse along, okay, time for the monologue from Megan. Shuffle forward like zombies from a cheap zombie movie, you know, and there's you ready to go, and it's like, yeah, if we get this done in 40 minutes, we'll have lunch, and then the donuts will arrive, and it's like, hey, wait, this is my moment.
Yeah, fuck the donuts.
Are we on donut time?
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, it's always like that with those moments. It's one of the big challenges is because you're operating in a different emotional environment as an actor than the rest of the crew and the production, and you have to, because you're breathing life into this character. You know, the camera guy doesn't have to do that in the same way. He doesn't have to emotionally feel it. He makes you look good, or the sound guy makes you sound good, but they don't have to bring it to life emotionally, you know. So it's a challenge.
Yeah, very true.
But you didn't go mental or throw a wobble, eh?
No, I didn't have a diva fit, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, I've had actors that I love and I would work
Really?
with again, but sometimes the breakdowns. Yeah,
Wow.
like I remember I had an actor, a friend of mine, a good friend of mine. He had, and when I say this, guys, you might think, oh, that's so unprofessional, and it's like, yeah, right, you do the exact same. Everyone has a breaking point. Everyone has a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And a compassionate production will accommodate the fact that actors are having to work at a very high emotional level and keep switched on all day.
Yeah.
You know, so it's all good. But like, I remember one chap just being like, "For fuck's sake, Laurie, you fucking bastard! You for fuck!" You punched the door and
God.
put like a dent in it. And I was like, "It's okay, man. It's okay." And then eventually it was okay, and we got him back. You know, he got his 15-minute rage, and it was a monologue. Would you believe it?
No way. Well, that explains it. It's the curse of the monologues.
Yeah, this monologue kept getting interrupted by a guy in a tractor. Eventually, I was like, right, we have to get rid of this guy in the tractor to tell him to stop. You know, one of my crew turning into a dot on the horizon as they were running towards this guy in a tractor in a distant field. You know, so that our actor wouldn't keep having nervous breakdowns. Because every time he got to the high point, the tractor would swing back around.
Oh, no, always the way.
Always the way. So, Megan, I wonder if you have advice for any other aspiring actors or actresses that would also like to land a lead role in an exciting, dramatic feature film like Dragon Knight.
Well, in terms of getting that role, I would say go to Cannes. But yeah, do lots of networking. Also just, focus on, like, don't be afraid to, like, work for free at the beginning to build up a portfolio. Lots of short films, just anything that you can collaborate with, particularly projects that you're really passionate about and you feel like, you know, you can really bring your all to it because you enjoy that concept. Just kind of keep seeing what opportunities come up and don't be afraid and don't self-sabotage by saying, oh no, I shouldn't do that. Like, as long as it's a good opportunity, you should definitely do it. And yeah, definitely just keep working. I don't know.
So really then, it's all about knocking on doors, really, for getting that part. And in terms of like surviving the feature film experience, do you have any advice there?
I would just say, personally, do lots of prep, but don't be afraid to just be in the moment when you get there. And if your prep doesn't quite match how the scene is going or how the film is going or what your co-stars are throwing at you, just bounce it back, you know, just kind of do the prep so that you feel comfortable and confident, but don't be afraid to just leave it and just go with what feels right in the moment. And also bring lots of thermals.
Oh yeah. We must always bring thermals, yeah. Even I have to keep remembering that lesson, actually. Normally when I get hypothermia on day 2, I'm like, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Okay, so that is some great advice, Megan.
Oh,
thank you. So let's learn a little bit about what you have lined up then. Megan, the superstar. What projects do you have going on right now?
Oh, well, other than Dragon Knight, I'm about to start shooting Ghost Crew in the near future, which is really exciting. Also, I've just worked on the Lockdown Hauntings. That should be coming out in March, which I'm really excited for. Also, I've written a short film called Slot, and I'll be hopefully directing that as soon as I can, like, schedule some filming dates when lockdown's over.
Now, Slot sounds quite exciting because it has an all-male nude cast.
Yes, it does.
So the rumors are true.
The rumors are true. No, it does not. I'm afraid. Sorry to disappoint you.
Oh. So what's Slot about then?
Slot follows a young girl who is actually, funnily enough, auditioning for drama school, and she keeps getting rejected. And so as the years go by, she slowly becomes more and more obsessed with the concept of getting in. And she goes to very extreme measures in terms of what she thinks is the most likely way for her to get into this drama school. Yeah.
Oh, so it's kind of like a very dark comedy, like a black comedy, slightly.
I don't see it as a black comedy, but if it went more...
Oh, no, if it's not, it's not.
Then I would be open to that. I think it's quite serious, but in a kind of light-hearted manner of expressing more serious themes, I would say.
So this is a very personal short film for you. This is based on your experiences, right?
Yeah. The lead character is not based on me. I have not done that, can I just express? But no, it was more just exploring, like, what if someone thought that was the right way to go about this? Yeah.
Don't know, some of your rivals did disappear during the audition.
Yeah. Oh, you got me.
But I'm very, very excited for a Slot. I think that's going to be fantastic.
Oh,
and the Lockdown Hauntings is an anthology horror film, and one of your co-stars in one of the segments is Tony Todd as well, which is it's exciting to have an IMDb page for a film with, you know, great name cast like that as well.
Horror icon, it's amazing.
Also with Ghost Crew, so Ghost Crew is a recent casting for you, and that is a Hex Studios film which will be directed by Tom Staunton, and that's quite an experimental horror film, utilizing part script, part improvisation as well. It's going to be a really interesting project, and you've got a fascinating character with that.
Yeah, I do. I'm so excited to play Sandy, and I'm excited for the improv, actually, because I haven't done a crazy amount of improv before, so I think I'm going to have to know the character inside out so that I can do that improv successfully, and that's really exciting. That's going to be a nice challenge. It'll be good.
It's great, and Tom's a good friend of mine, and he's part of our company, and it shows as well that your success in one film has led to further opportunities with our company. And it can be like that for a lot of actors. Once you start to make these great relationships with folks, then they want you to work with their friends as well, and you develop circles. It's a good way of thinking about it for actors. A lot of actors, I feel, take quite a kind of, they assume that it's almost like a one-off type thing, like, right, I've got a part in this film, then I'll get a part in this film, and a part in this film, when really, in my mind, sometimes it's more like the better way to think of it isn't the film, but it's the relationship with the filmmaker, because they'll bring you back for, you know, years, like, you know, as we've seen in the industry.
Mm-hmm. And if you work well with them and they work well with you and you get on and you build that working relationship, you're going to like them. So you're going to want to work with them again and again. So why would you want to just kind of be like, all right, on to the next person, on to the next project? Like, no, if you get on with someone, you'll want to work with them again and again.
This is especially true for independent film. But one of the things I really admire and respect about you, especially since you're just 22 years old. Oh, you're almost 23, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Is that you're expressing yourself across various creative disciplines. So you're writing and you're directing. And that is rare.
Thank you so much. No, I really enjoy writing, and it's a big goal of mine for this year is to write more things and potentially write my first feature film. So we'll see if that goes to plan.
Could you imagine yourself directing a feature film?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I would love to, but it would be terrifying. So I think if I can build up my confidence by directing Slot, and if that goes well, then I would definitely be open to it in the future.
I think it's a fantastic thing. If your imagination is so big that you want to tell stories that go beyond just performance, then that is probably something you can't deny in yourself. That's something that already makes you a very different kind of artist than most actors that I know. which means then that that's a gift, that's a talent that needs to be honed and developed as well, because it can open so many unexpected creative options and successes. Imagine, you know, you play the lead in some films, but then you also make a feature film and it makes money and success. And you,
yeah, that would be amazing. And I definitely want to kind of hone my craft a lot more and just expand on my creativity for sure.
No, absolutely. Well, I certainly hope you do, and we certainly want to encourage that. So, Megan Tremethick, I want to thank you so much for joining me today and for giving us this fantastic advice and your personal story as well about your experiences playing the lead in your first feature film.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. I've loved chatting with you.
Oh, well, you take care of yourself, and I shall bid you adieu.
Adieu.
Be sure to hit subscribe and the bell notification icon so you don't miss any of our future videos. Also, if you would like to support our channel and help us make more content, then check out the Patreon link in the video description below. Thank you and goodbye.